When the grouping hit in 1923, the Great Western Railway inherited many lines and locomotives, including the former Cambrian Railway. The old Cambrian main line was lightly laid, severe weight restrictions were in effect. At this time, the Great Western Railway's Duke class were reaching the end of their service lives, and the Bulldogs had been made redundant. In 1929, one of the Dukes was withdrawn, and someone looked at the sturdy frames of one of the younger Bulldogs and thought, yeah, I can make something out of that. The newer Bulldogs had a simple, sturdy frame that would be easy to build off of, and many parts from the Dukes were still in good shape, so the 3200 class were made. The class's official name is the Earls class. They're best known, though, as the Dukedogs. From 1936, several Dukedogs would be built from almost entirely second-hand parts. These ancient-looking 440s had some different tenders from the Dukes, and wider cabs to match. They carried the Bulldog's thick outside frames and parallel boilers raised above the frames, standing on driving wheels of just 5 foot 8 inches, speaking to a mixed traffic use, but still a passenger focus as they are 440s. Like all engines, the class would have several variations to finer details, but they were never going to escape the old-fashioned look. Conveniently, at this time, the Great Western Board of Directors were pressing to have their names put on locomotives. Charles Collett finally put their names on these. The directors were not very pleased. He knew they wouldn't be, of course. It did get them off of his back, though, so he could work in peace. The Dukes first appeared in 1895, and the Bulldogs first appeared in 1899. There was enough good bits from these engines to make 30 Dukedogs between 1929 and 1939. These engines would of course be renumbered, and a few renamed, having their names given to Castle-class locomotives. While they weren't the fastest engines, they were fairly strong for 440s. They were just short of 19,000 pounds of tractive effort, making them stronger than, for example, the Great Eastern Clods, while also being a few tons lighter. They proved entirely okay. They were never meant to be express machines, just to run on a lightly laid line, and they did that well. These engines would survive a surprisingly long time. It seems like they were intended as a temporary measure until the Great Western could make something better to work the Cambrian main line. They'd work alongside Collett Goods 060s and Ivett's Class 2 260s, both very versatile classes themselves, but they were still mashed together from bits of two very old classes. The first Dukedog was withdrawn in 1948, and the last survived into 1960. Now, I understand they didn't have a very impressive working life as Dukedogs, but the youngest set of frames on a Dukedog is from 1910. I'm sure these are different boilers than what was on the Dukes, not just reusing old boilers. I feel like they'd get really dangerous after a while, but several pieces on these engines could be from 1895, absolutely ancient by the time they were being withdrawn. As I'm sure a lot of you know by now, one of them has survived, bought directly from British Railways and placed on the Bluebell Railway in February of 1962. The engine actually managed to get its first set of name and number plates back from the withdrawn engines. In 2003, it was officially donated to the Bluebell Railway, and after a series of mechanical failures, it's been left on static display at the new museum at the Vale of Rydal Railway. I haven't used it here, but I'm sure there's just tons of footage of the Earl of Berkeley in action, so you should go look at it. The very old-fashioned appearance of this engine makes it rare among the preserved Great Western engines. I wouldn't say it looks great, but it does look just right in either green or black. You can tell by looking at it what it's for, though you might not guess when it was built. It was a humble mixed traffic engine, built for a specific stretch of main line, and it worked there very well. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment for me if you have anything you'd like to see covered. Subscribe if you want to see more of this. I'll be back in a week. Also, I hope the background music wasn't too grating this time. I made it myself. I'm working on it.